There she is. They said you were here, so we were just waiting.
Okay.
Okay, if you guys want to, like we did yesterday, if you want to move to a bigger desk or scoot a couple desks together, you can. So you can have some of your stuff laid out. And we are going to need your iPads today as well. So if you want to, huh?
You forgot your locker?
iPad in my locker.
Well, go get it really quick because we do need your iPad today.
Go fast, not a leisurely walk.
I'm sorry, I'm so used to not having to research a book I didn't bring it.
That's you don't necessarily need your book right now.
Oh,
So if you need it later, you can. So just get out like your notes if you took any on your subject, and your iPad we're gonna need, and then you can get your timeline out too because that'll have some facts on it that you guys need. Probably should turn this on, huh?
Stop it.
Is this about the thing?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Oh, you know about
Wait, you
the
know
thing?
about the thing?
Not yet.
Oh, you don't know about the thing?
No.
Wait, how do you know there's a
The
thing?
thing?
Yeah,
Because
what
he
thing?
said he's gonna tell me tomorrow.
What thing?
If there is a
What's going to
Just
happen
the thing.
now and then?
It's something important.
It's nothing really important. Like, just is bringing his horse to school with him.
yeah, sure.
No.
I'm excited for this thing that we're gonna learn about tomorrow.
He's gonna bring his horse to school, he told me. He
Yeah.
said he's gonna ride it all the way.
Just gonna ride it right into the building.
Blake, is that a lie?
No, like I'm just gonna ride it right into the
Blake,
building.
you're gonna cross
the highway.
Hey, that one kid
Like-
brought his dog to school, so.
Blake, Blake,
Oh.
Blake, aren't you just
Apple
gonna have
TV,
your dad
probably
pick
should
it
turn
up
that
in
on.
the trailer,
Yeah.
but you're gonna ride it to school?
I don't believe
That's gonna be funny.
Believe me.
That is gonna be funny.
There we go.
You'll need your iPads out.
Yep.
I still don't believe you. It would be freaking cold.
Yeah.
No swearing
Bundle
on
up.
this.
Mrs. Kozak.
I'm sorry.
Xbox
There it is. Never mind.
It would be
What kind of set?
is that better?
Did you get your iPad?
I don't know where it is.
Okay, you don't know where it is. Okay, then we're gonna like partner up too, so we'll just have your partner and you use the same iPad
I
for
can
now.
just see.
Okay? It'll be easier to use the iPad. We're gonna partner up, so it'll be fine. Today, my mentor teacher was gonna come in, but she has a sick kid, so I'm recording it on here. So when you guys like talk, just make sure, can you like speak up just a little bit, so then it'll be easier for her to hear when she watches it. That would be great. Okay, we're gonna talk a little bit about your research paper today. Just kind of remind you about some things. And then I'm going to talk about kind of some different ways to look up some things, because I know a couple of you had some questions about, well, I don't know what to look up about this, what about this, what about that. So there's some things that we can go more in depth that might be easier to find specific things for you guys to look at. Okay, the first thing we're going to talk about is when you're research, or the research stuff that you guys already have. So like your books, the couple of online articles you guys have. So when you read up on your topic, make sure you're reading through a big chunk of your source before you decide, like, okay, yep, this one is going to work. Because just because one sentence or one paragraph works of that source, the whole thing might not work. And then it's kind of like, let me maybe find something a little bit better that maybe has everything in it. And when you're reading and finding all your sources, make sure you're keeping track of those. I would suggest when you find a source and you're like, yep, this is my source, this one works, starting your works cited page already on it. Because that's going to make it a lot easier to go back and find all your sources and look at your sources you already have. And if like you find one online or something, I would like bookmark it or favorite it or something like that so you don't lose it. Because if you find a really good source and then your internet shuts down and then you can't find it the next day, that's going to kind of stink. So I would suggest already making a works cited page so that way you're going to have the author, you're going to have the title, you're going to have everything in case you can't find it anymore. You can go back, you can type in the author, you can type in the title, and you might be able to find it. And make sure we're going to talk about, too, taking notes. I know Lexi has some good ones started already, and so does Taryn and Josh. We're going to talk about it. I have an example to pull up, too. You guys have looked at this already. When you're taking notes, make sure you're typing at the top or writing. You don't have to type them. Just make sure you're putting them all in one place from all your sources. So at the top, like, put the title. I know you're doing 9/11, 9/11 the day after. If that's the title of the thing, then take all the notes from that source. underneath that title, just to keep it a little more organized so you guys know where everything is. If you're like, oh, where did I put those sticky notes or where did I do that? And make sure you are sticky noting in your books. I know you have a lot of good sticky notes. I say Noah has some good sticky notes. And then when you're done reading or done, you can take all those sticky notes out of your book too and put them on a page like she has up here. Or you guys can rewrite or type the notes back on that sheet that we were talking about before. Make sure you have a minimum of 3 sources. You need at least 1 book. But can you have more than 3 sources?
Yes.
You can. You can have as many as you want, but you don't want too many because you don't want to be overflowed with information either, because that would be too much. When you're also reading your sources, think about what you still need. Right? I know Taryn had a question yesterday. She looked up, would a seamstress be okay for an occupation for the wife instead of a teacher? And that's a question you could have. You could look that up, something like that. And then, I know Lexi had a question too when she was reading, well, can I be a travel nurse? And she didn't know, so she read and she found the answer. So make sure when you're thinking about questions, and make sure you can write down those questions too, because if you don't find it in that source, we can Google it, or we're going to look at something called JSTOR. Have you guys heard of that before? Okay, that's another online thing we'll look at today, and you'll be able to type things in there, and if you still have questions about that. All right, things to remember when you're writing this paper and you're looking up stuff. Your paper is going to be in first person. You guys know what that means? What does that mean?
Like you were telling it.
Right, so what are you going to use?
Like
I did this. We did this. My family and I did this. So you want to make sure you're using first person. And that can get a little tricky, especially because you're writing in past tense. Don't forget that too. You're writing like you already lived it. So you're not going to say, I am going to do this today. You're going to say, I did do that this day. I did do that. This happened. So it's going to be a lot of past tense, ED. So that's going to be kind of tricky too. And another thing to keep in mind, the time period. You guys are all, yeah, Ian.
You said, past tense thing. I had the idea, maybe like what do you put it, like have some kind of journal or diary, whatever thing that the person is recording as it's happening. I mean, maybe like on the individual day, it'd be the past tense knows if he's writing after the day, but would it be all right if, say, there was something that was planned to be done maybe in a few days after that hadn't happened yet? Am I making sense here, or just rambling?
Maybe we'll ask after. We'll talk about it one-on-one when we're done. Is that good? Okay. But most of it should be past tense. You should try to keep that mindset the whole time, and then we'll talk about yours later.
Yeah, I mean, for the most part it will be, but there might just be like a few things I'll reference that might be done in the future.
Okay,
But
yep,
it
we'll
will,
talk
for the
about
most
that
part,
for sure.
they'll be in the past tense.
We'll talk about it. And another thing too, don't forget your time period. You guys are all different time periods across the whole thing. Blake's doing something a little more recent. He's going to do 9/11, so he can talk about cell phones. He can talk about the internet. He can talk about this. He can talk about that. But can Taryn? No, she's doing the Oregon Trail, so she can't talk about stuff like that. She can't say, and then we looked this up on Google. Because that's not going to make sense, right? Or we're going to say, and then we typed in this address on maps. No, that's not going to make sense because she can't do that.
Technology 150.
Right. And then the other thing too, think about like the dialogue. In the war, is she gonna say yo to her friends?
Yo.
See, but no, but she's not gonna say that. But Blake could write that in his because he could say that to his friend. So you gotta think about your.
Bro, what am I gonna like? What am I
So think about that when you're writing. When you're going to say good morning, good evening, or anything like that, when you think about your descriptive words too, you need to think about that time period that your descriptive words go with. Because it's going to be different for everyone. Even think about like the food you're going to eat. The food in Vietnam is going to be different than what Queen Elizabeth ate, right? It's going to be completely different, not even close. So make sure you're thinking about the food too. Your belongings, like the items you have. I know Taryn was reading a book and we were kind of confused in a part because she's like, wait, I thought this was about the Oregon Trail and they're talking about phones and stuff like that. So you got to think about the items you're going to have with you. And then think about like the home you're going to live in, because Blake's not going to live in a log cabin, right? In the middle of New York City. That's not going to happen.
all my
Right.
life.
Right, but then, but someone else might be able to, right? So you got to think about your time periods, and I would think about the type of friends you might have. So if you're describing a friend, you got to think about during this time period, would that be allowed? I know Cece is doing slavery, so is her best friend going to be a Caucasian girl the same age as her? No, right? Because that wasn't allowed back then. So you got to think about all that kind of stuff too. And then check your facts. So if you think, oh, well, this might be, this, they could have had this, maybe look it up. Because when we are reading it, we don't want to read it and say, no, Queen Elizabeth is not eating fried chicken, right? Like, that's just something they wouldn't be eating. So we want to make sure that everything makes sense. So make sure if you're, like, even questioning it, go ahead and look it up. Just because you want to double check and you'd rather be too safe than have something not make sense. Alright, we kind of talked about this too. When you're reading your sources, make notes of important information. You guys have been doing a great job of that by sticky noting. But I want to see more of actually writing things down or typing things. You guys can type things too. So I want to see more if we can get the keyboards out too, where we're actually typing our notes onto a sheet of paper or writing them out. Okay? So you guys, I know reading books, you can sticky notes up, that's fine too, but a lot of you have online sources. So I want to see you writing about those online sources. I want to see you, I don't know if you guys can on your iPads, but can you download like sources off there, like to make them PDFs or anything? Can you do that? Copy and paste too. You can do that too. So then maybe you guys can, or maybe you guys can take screenshots of certain things. And I would, if you guys can, we'll look at that too. If you guys can like download something so you can highlight it or something like that. Because remember. Oh, you can? Okay, Terrence said if you screenshot it, you can highlight it. So I know if there's something really important in that thing, you can screenshot it, highlight it, so you don't lose it in that source, right? You want to do that. Like I said before, bookmark if you're using an online source. Bookmark it, favorite it, so you don't lose it anymore.
You can save the PDF to book or to like iBooks.
You can?
It just asks.
Perfect.
You have that.
Okay, so she just said, so if you guys want to pull up your source book, let's look at that. If you guys have an online source, let's pull one of those up. Thank you, Lexi.
Say PDF to iPad.
Yes. So if you have an online source, no, it's okay.
You don't know.
So go to your online source, and then what did you have at the?
I said I did. I have two sources. So I went here and then I said save PDF to books.
Okay. So then she had the little export thing up in the corner, and it saved PDF to iBooks. So that'll work out. And then can you highlight and stuff in iBooks and look at that?
Maybe.
I think you should be able to. So that'll work out great. If not, like I said, Terrence said you can screenshot it, highlight it, and I think that'll help out a lot too before you actually write your note taking down. And don't forget, even though your timeline, we kind of already looked at those, don't forget that you can add things to your timeline still. Because that's something that's a tool for you guys to be able to open up and look at when you're writing your paper. Like, oh yeah, this happened next. Or, oh yeah, I'm going to do this. Taryn?
You can highlight stuff in the PDF and everything.
Perfect. And look, there's little pens and markers and stuff too. Awesome. Okay, so you can, in iBooks, you can highlight, you can write in there, you can make little notes. So that'll be a really good tool for you guys to use. I think that'll help a lot, keeping track of everything. So yeah, don't forget to add things onto your timeline when you're researching. And when you're finding your sources, is it reliable? Don't forget, like, can you use Wikipedia? No, because it's not reliable. And when you're looking too, is there an author? Not everything will have an author, but the sources you guys should be using should have an author of some kind. So make sure you're looking at your sources for that. And we'll talk about more reliable sources in a little bit. We talked about your note sheet. That's just kind of an example too. I just took it off here and I put it on here so you guys could see it. So kind of putting that works cited of that source at the top, the author, the title, publishing, that kind of stuff, and then just making notes right under it. So just put your title so you can kind of keep it all together, and that way you're not wondering, oh, where did I get that fact from? Like, oh, where did I find this from? Because when you're citing things in your paper, which we'll talk more about that next week as well. You don't want to wonder, oh, I can't remember where I found that from, because that takes a long time to go back and have to try to find, is it from this source, is it from this source, or is it from this book? Can you imagine trying to find a fact out of your book randomly? No, that would take a very long time. So make sure you're just making notes of what fact you got it from. And if you did get it from a book, and you have a fact like this, go ahead and put the page number right after it, so then you're not going to lose it. Because losing it would not be fun. Okay, we're going to talk about something called Boolean searching. Have you guys ever heard of that before? No? Okay. Boolean searching is a type of search, and it allows you guys, you can put like keywords either together or apart, or you can use the word or and separate them. So it's kind of using and, not, or when you're typing things in your search, and we'll try that in a sec. So if you use the word and, it's going to put things together. So if you want something, for example, I put global warming and California. It's going to bring up the articles that have both of those words in it. So if you want, if you just wanted global warming, you could type in global warming on Google. But if you're specifically wanting to look up stuff that has to do with California, you put those two together with the word and in the middle, and it comes up with sources that have to have both in it. With the word or, you want to just do one or the other. So, for example, global warming or greenhouse effect. Kind of the same thing. So then the articles will come up with either of those words. And then the word not, using the word not in the searches for the term and excludes sites that have the second term. So let's say you're doing a project on California, and every time you type in California, a bunch of stuff about global warming comes up, and that's not what you want to focus on for your paper, right? So you can type in California, not global warming. And in the articles that include California and global warming, the ones with the word global warming won't show up in your search. So I think that'll be a helpful tool for you guys if you're looking up stuff about your topic. If you keep typing in Oregon Trail, and it keeps coming up with the same things and you don't want to see that anymore, you can put the word not in there, and that'll help you out. Alright, finding good sources. We're going to look at 2 online sources. You guys already know what Google is, but have you guys ever used advanced search in Google? No? You have? Does that help you out?
Yeah.
Yes. And then we're going to look at another one called JSTOR, and I'll pull it up on my computer too. And there's an advanced search on there, and this is going to bring up a bunch of different articles that you normally wouldn't find on Google. So if you guys want to go ahead and open the internet, let's have Google in one tab, and then JSTOR in the other. Do you want to come sit up next to Blake and you can watch off his?
Sure.
Alright, Google.
Is it .com?
.org. JSTOR.org. So JSTOR.org. Let me know if it doesn't pop up for you guys.
Journalist books and primary sources.
Perfect. Okay. I'm going to pop mine up on here too. Alright, Google. You guys are going to pair up too in just a second, and we're going to Google a topic. What topic do you guys want to pick up? Pick something, can be completely random, has nothing to do with any of your guys' historical topics right now. Could be anything.
Oh, the con.
Pet gerbils? It is. He said it first,
Oh,
so we
yeah.
can look up stuff about gerbils. Do you know anything about gerbils?
No.
Okay.
I don't.
So maybe let's go with Holocaust then, because we all know some facts about Holocaust, right?
Yep.
Okay. So let's Holocaust.
Gerbil.
So in your Google search, type in Holocaust. Let's do Google first. Yep. All right. And actually, I'm going to have you guys pair up now. So you two are together, Ian and Noah, Caleb and Josh. Actually, we have a group of 3. You guys want to be a group of 3?
Yeah.
So you guys just want to scoot together, and then you two good to work together in the back? Perfect. Okay.
What are we looking for?
You guys, we picked Holocaust. We're not looking for anything specific yet. We're just going to look at stuff together. So the first one for Holocaust, do you guys all have the same articles I do when you type in Holocaust in Google?
Nope. I got some.
You have something different?
That's something.
You guys have some videos and stuff first on there. What's the first article you guys have?
Survival and rebirth. Destruction
Ah,
of
that's
Earth.
the article.
Introduction to
I
Holocaust.
have the same one.
See,
Do you have the same one I have?
I know.
You guys have
No,
something
but this could
different.
be this would be
We have
close
some.
You
to.
guys have
Last
the same
Wikipedia.
thing? See, even when we just all type in something on Google, we just type in something as simple as Holocaust. Look at all the different articles us that we pull up first. So there's so many articles out there to look at. So I want you guys to then, if you go to settings, you guys see the settings buttons on yours? Or not, yeah, settings.
Is it search tools?
Yep, and then there's something that's going to be called advanced search under there.
Oh, click the 3 lines on the side right here.
Okay, for you guys, 3 lines on the side, settings. And then there should be a little thing called advanced search. And we'll click that.
No, I don't have an advanced.
Ugh. Sometimes I dislike your guys' iPads, I'm not gonna lie. Okay, I'm gonna borrow yours for a second.
Which one? I don't think I will be here on Friday, so should I just keep working on my notes?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're gonna be on Friday.
I'm gonna go to
Okay, well, on your iPads, I don't know where you guys can find advanced search on yours, but I know on JSTOR there's going to be advanced search. So let's just go, go to JSTOR. And then right under the search tab on JSTOR, there's a little advanced search tab. So we'll just click right to that. Go ahead and click advanced search. Let me make this little.
Yeah, we're on JSTOR.
Yep, go to JSTOR right now. JSTOR.org.
Ay, ay, ay. Got like a gazillion things.
I know. Well, no, you don't have to fill out all those. Those are just options that you can fill out. Is everyone on JSTOR? Yep. On it? Perfect. Okay, so we'll do the topic that we're going to together. At first, let's just type in Holocaust on there. In the normal search, type in Holocaust. And then you can go ahead and just hit search, and a bunch of stuff's going to come up. Alright, did your guys' work? Yep. So look how many articles did you guys find? And you just right. And is that a lot to go through? Right. Okay, so let's look. And if we go back, just hit the little back key and we'll do Holocaust. Holocaust and, okay, if you guys are writing a paper on the Holocaust, what are you going to focus on? What do you guys want to focus on? Anne Frank? Okay. So in the and, hit Anne Frank. I think it does have an E at the end. That's what I thought. All right, and then if you scroll down a little bit, you can set the item type. What kind of type do you want? Do you want an article? Do you want a review? Do you want a book? Do you want a research report, pamphlet, miscellaneous? You guys can mark off the ones that you want. I normally mark off articles, reviews, books. Those are normally the 3 that I go to. Normally that's all I do, but if you guys wanted to, if you wanted a more recent article, you can type in the year or the date range of the years that you guys want your articles from. So if you want one that's more recent and don't want something that's from a long time ago, you can make that happen on this website. And then if you scroll down even more, there's a lot of different things you can mark off, right? If that's something you want to focus in on. So not including the Holocaust, if you want to look at an education article, if you want to look at an American Studies article, you can condense it even more by just like a topic idea. So now if we hit search, how many articles we have? And that's like 80,000 less than we had before, right? So you see how much that just shrunk it down? And you can do that with any topic. You can do it with your topic. And you don't have to just use the word and. You can use the words or and not first. Or not first. You can use and or not. So if let's, for example, type in not. Let's say we don't want anything on Anne Frank. 71,000. See? Just by changing that one word, it changes dramatically in the stuff. Alright, so each of you, let me go back to my PowerPoint quick. Since you guys don't have advanced search on your iPads, which is super weird, we're going to have just two of you. Let's pick a new topic that's not gerbils. What do you guys want to pick besides gerbils?
Ten bears. My God.
Top 10 anime fails.
It's up.
Is that something everyone's going to know about?
What
Yes.
else are not
Yes.
top?
I don't know what that is.
Top 10 anime trends.
Not you guys are thinking too wide. You gotta think like your topics, you just pick one thing.
Pearl Harbor.
Pearl Harbor. Perfect, thank you. Okay, so let's look up
History of Minecraft is important. Wow.
No. Pearl Harbor, okay. So YouTube back groups, I just want you to do a normal Google search on Pearl Harbor, and I want you guys to look at the stuff that comes up.
Google?
Yep, just those two. Not you guys. You guys, YouTube back groups do Google. We'll have you just do a JSTOR normal search, so don't do any of that advanced stuff yet. And then you guys want to do a JSTOR normal search too, and see what comes up. And then, actually, you guys do a JSTOR, and since there's not advanced search on Google, you guys pick like and, but, or you guys pick something like that, or pick if you want to mark off books or articles or something. And then you guys do JSTOR advanced search. Yep, so you guys are doing the advanced search.
Oh, we're doing it.
Yes, so you guys pick and stuff if you want to put and, but, or you want to put something in there and you want to mark up stuff. And then we're going to talk about all the different articles that like just came up. No, that's just my presentation. My videos are my other one. Thank you. Looking out.
I got 35,939.
It's a lot, huh?
So,
Alright, how's our Google? What is your guys' first topic on Google? What's your first article, or what comes up first on Google? HistoryNet.com. What about for you guys, Ian? You got a Wikipedia thing? So even just in Google, those two got two different articles about Pearl Harbor. Okay, so we got history and we got Wikipedia that came up. And you guys did JSTOR, just a normal search. What did you guys get?
The first thing that came up with it's a journal article of Pearl Harbor and Toy Joy and
Okay.
and Mold.
So they got a journal article that has two names that attach to it, and that has nothing to do with what they found. And how many things came up when you just typed?
35,939.
Okay, 35,000. That's a lot. What about you guys in the back? What did you guys type in? Just Pearl Harbor? Did you put anything with it? Did any advanced search or anything like that? Okay, what article did come up for you guys? A book chapter. So that's different than what they did, and they just typed in Pearl Harbor too. So your book chapter came up? What is
we
it
have
called?
that. We have that.
You had it too, but just
Page 11.
Yeah. We have that.
Okay. So they both typed in just Pearl Harbor on JSTOR, and two different things came up. And then, okay, what's our advanced search group? What did you guys find?
I put Pearl Harbor and kamikazes, and I got 91 things.
91 things? Okay, so she got it to shrink down to 91 things. So that's going to be really easy for her to find what she wants, right? Compared to hers, 35,000. So that's awesome. So you guys can do that with your topics too. Did you guys type in something different?
I did Pearl Harbor and World War I.
Okay, and how many things did you get?
Like 17,000.
But that's still a little bit less than what he had. And what was your first thing that came up?
The same book that came out.
The same book that came up for them? Okay, what's your first thing that came up?
A book chapter, the pre-war Nisei.
Okay. What about you, Kayla?
Well, I did a relative destruction.
Okay.
And then I got a book chapter before Pearl Harbor.
A book chapter, and then how many things came up for you?
3,300.
Okay, so that's pretty small compared to his 35,000 though. That's still a lot, but that's really small compared to his. But I really liked how Taryn got hers down to 91 things. That's awesome. Because then you can focus in on what you guys want to do. So let's think about your topic. Go ahead. Okay, ignore the try Google Advanced Search because apparently you guys don't have that, so don't do that one. But since you guys haven't used JSTOR before, let's use it to look at your topic and think about a question that you guys had for your topic. Like I know Taryn yesterday wanted to talk about the actual path that might have been taken right on the Oregon Trail, so I think that's something that you might be able to specifically find on yours. So go ahead and grab your notes out. And then on the side, don't forget you can use your Boolean phrases and other aspects of that advanced search. So if you want something in a book, did you look at your topic?
231,500.
Right, okay, so now try to use the advanced search. Do you want to, you can use your phone to look up stuff on yours.
I got 979.
So look up your
Civil
topics,
War
see what you guys are getting.
nurses and surgeons.
Yeah, that's a good one. Get
Not
the
118, that's awesome. This is really far down. And then once you guys find stuff, no, let's see, no results found. Let's go back and look.
203.
Okay, that's not too bad. And these are going to be new articles that you guys have never seen before. Maybe just type in his name. Maybe erase that first part. Maybe just type in his name and see what you can find. You guys find the stuff? Awesome.
I got 979, and I don't think I might get it anywhere.
Ooh, 723. That's pretty good.
I got mine down to 69.
That's awesome. Okay. So now that you guys, because you haven't used JSTOR before, like I said, get out your notes and maybe start looking at some of these articles because I think the ones off JSTOR, they're super reliable and they're going to have new information that you necessarily haven't seen before. You found something good? That's awesome.
Popular songs for Great War.
Are you having problems finding stuff on yours?
You can download it again.
Hey, that's pretty good. So you don't, and necessarily too, just because the first article that comes up, that's not going to be the one you just automatically want to use. So make sure there's like, on JSTOR too, when you click on an article, there's sometimes a little summary. So read that little summary first and see if it's going to be something you want to use. Because just because it's the first article that pops up, doesn't mean it's just going to be like, okay, that's just what I'm going to use. So make sure you're really looking at those things.
You have to have an account to read.
You have to have an account to read it?
It says read online. Oh, yeah.
But then when you click it, you have to.
I got 12. I got 12, so I'm winning.
I have 4
That.
ones. I got 4 ones.
I'm about to beat you.
Also, I got 0.
This is competition now.
Okay, if there's an article that you guys think you want to read, why don't you let me, you guys can email it to me, and since you guys have to log on, I can log on for you and I can look at it. So I don't know why it's making you guys log on because I don't have to. So we'll take a look at that too. So if there's one article that you guys want to use off there, we can look at that. So for the rest of the period, I want you guys to research a little bit. And you can use the Boolean terms on Google too, if this JSTOR isn't working for you guys. So if you're on Google and you're typing in stuff, just type in the word and, or not in between the two things you want in all caps, and put the other two search terms in quotes. So you guys can use that on Google as well. You guys don't have to just use this. So on Google, type in, like, let's use Terrence too. She wants Oregon Trail, so she puts that phrase in quotes. And then she wants to put and path. And you put the path in quotes. So then that'll make it so it groups it together. And those two things will pop up in those articles. So you guys want to try that on Google too, group those things together. And when you're done with that, go ahead, grab your note sheets out, and let's continue researching. Make sure you guys, like I said, are starting that works cited page. You want to make sure you don't lose any of your sources. That's fine. Go ahead, Mr. Josh.
No.
Any questions?
Even though it's just nothing showing.
Just nothing showing up. Okay, so maybe if Jason is not going to work for you, then try it on Google. See what pops up on there. Using those Boolean terms. And if you guys have like 3 really good books that you want to look at instead, you can go for those right now. I see a lot of searching, which is great, but I only see a couple people with their notes out. So if you don't have any notes,
I have Vitamix.
that's perfect. If you don't have any notes, why don't we get some started? Because we're gonna look at your notes that's a part of your grade. So you have to write your notes. You have to have notes. Okay? Whether that's your sticky notes, your note page, you gotta have some of those. So if you haven't started a note page, why don't you put your sources on your page and get started on those?
Is this how you do that search thing?
Yeah, but instead of parentheses, do quotes, like you do around dialogue.
It's for matter. I go out of my search results to say front matter.
Hey, it worked. I registered for it.
I'm not sure about that. You did? Okay.
Yeah.
But you didn't type anything in, right?
Yeah.
Minus that. Is that one of the books you clicked on?
Yeah.
Okay, click on it and I want to see what it does. Just hit yeah. Because you may be able to do it. No. For JSTOR, you can make an account, and it won't. I don't know why it won't let you. I'll have to look into that more. You can't read the whole article for free, but you can read like snippets of it. So if there's something that you really want to look at, go ahead and make a JSTOR account, and you can make that for free. But then, and then you can that's how you can preview the article if you actually want to do it. And then if you really want that article, I can get it for you because I have an account, and I can get it for free. So make an account so you can look at it, so you can preview it, and then if that's something you guys really think you want for an article, then I can look at it. Put Oregon Trail and equals together. So the first phrase, and then the word and then the second phrase will be enclosed by itself too. Does that make sense? Okay. Are you doing something interesting?
No, I'm not going to school.
Taryn asked a really good question. She asked if some of the stuff she looked up for her timeline, like just to get the time of everything, if she needs to make a works cited page for those. If you don't use it in your paper, if you don't use any of that information in your paper, no. But on your note-taking sheet, I would still write down that source and maybe the stuff you got from it, because if you do end up using it, you're gonna want to have it right there. So my suggestion for you guys is any article you use and get information from, even if you're not quite sure you're going to use it or not, I would write it down. I would save it just in case, because you never know. And that way you can kind of keep all your stuff, all your facts together. Like, come on, bro.
Think it's quick, bro. So,
We're giving you this time to research this stuff because this is a hard paper to write. Or it's not really confusing, but it can be very confusing when you're writing it. You're going to get all caught up in your facts. And is this right? Is that right? So that's why we're giving you all this time to research. You guys are experts on that period, on that time period, on that event. So when you guys are writing it, it's going to make it a lot easier for you guys. So So use this time to research. Get your notes out. Let's get started.